beautiful friends. Welcome to Mother Knits. I have a lot to catch you up on and share with you today. Lots of projects in the works, making my own notions and buttons, which I can't wait to share more with you about, and this new Mother Knits space. So there's quite a lot to chat about. Grab a project, something to put in your lap, or maybe just a warm drink. Grab whatever it is that you are currently working on, whatever is bringing you joy, or maybe just a cozy blanket to snuggle up with as we talk about what I've been up to this week and what I've been making. There's been a lot shifting this week. There's been a lot going on, a lot of making. I don't have any knitted finished objects to show you today, but I do have this new space that I built, custom tables, nothing fancy. Went to Home Depot, got a piece of plywood, got a post, a wooden post, cut it up, actually had them cut it up into I think 28-inch legs, had them cut the plywood to the custom dimensions I needed. I've got two tables set up around me, one going this way and the other going this way. And I just really had been dreaming about a little corner in my home that I could have my sewing table or have my sewing machine out all the time, have my computer, and just be a place where I can sit and look at my calendar, journal. If I get up super early in the morning, to have those few minutes to myself before the family is up, which I do quite often, that I would have a space that is my own, that I could come and dream and just clear my head before the day begins. And I did that. I created that space for myself. And that has been deeply rewarding. I have so enjoyed just the few days that I have been here. And I'm looking forward to getting some artwork up on the walls and, putting my bulletin board up, putting swatches of fabric and vision boards, and just creating a little cozy corner for myself in my home where I can really plan out my projects, organize my thoughts, and it feels really nice to share this space with you today. So that has been ongoing. That has been, just taking time, getting this place really set up the way that I wanted. It took away from quite a bit of knitting time this week, actually, but very well worth it. If you've been here for a little bit, we're expecting a baby in March. I'm almost in my third trimester, and so the nesting has kicked in. I am just getting every little nook and cranny of our home feeling really well organized, and that has been hugely motivating, on top of all of the creating and making that I'm so fortunate to do. So we've got a few things to talk about today. I want to show you my current whips. I'm going to show you the knitting that I've been working on, and the pressed flower shawl, which I did start. And then I want to talk about this whole creation process I've been in with my ceramics work. I am a ceramicist and really deepening in my knowledge and practice of ceramics, which has been so wonderful. I'm taking advantage of this time to be in a pottery studio before we have a newborn, which of course I'll just have to work primarily out of my garage, since I'll be nursing and have a little one. It's just not going to fit in my life to be in the pottery studio. So that has been taking up quite a few hours a week, which has been lovely. It really inspired me, though, to get myself a lot of buttons made. So we'll get to that. But I really want to show you the knitting first. And I know that's why most of you are here. So let's talk about the knitting first. So I have been working how many days. I've actually started keeping track on my phone. I have a little countdown timer, or count up timer, that shows me how long I've had this casted on. This project, the field day jacket, I've had cast on for 23 days. So let's talk about this. Let's take a look at this. I was really hoping that by the time we sat down and had a chat, I would be done with the body on this jacket. I am not done with the body of this jacket. You know, December is an interesting month. It's like when winter sets in and we want to just be still and quiet. And as a mother of little ones, there's been a lot of activities and a lot of things going on this week. But things have sort of mellowed out, and especially since I've set this space up, I've had a lot more time to knit. So where am I? Where can I show you I'm at with this project? You can sort of get a sense of it right here, right? Here's the sleeve holes. The neck is worked in a really interesting way where I'll have to sew it down at the end. Can you guys see that? Because you work the collar, as in the collar is the side ribbing. So let me get it on so you can kind of see what we're going for here. Okay, and it's still on the needles, so it's not wrapping around me properly. But this is what we have so far. And I have to say, last night I was knitting, got quite a lot of inches done in the flat stockinette on this as I'm going down. I'm like, oh, I just want to try it on when I get up and try it on. I didn't put the try-on tubing on. I just had it with my needles. I just wanted to get a sense of how much more, excuse me, do we have to go? I think I've done 3 buttonholes. I've got a little loop of fabric here. I don't even know how. Oh, you can't really see it. I shouldn't have even mentioned it. You can't really see it. You know, there's a lot to share with this project. I love it. I think it looks I love the way that it looks. I think it looks really cool. I like the dark, moody charcoal gray with the flecks of color in it. The sleeves are going to be these drop sleeves that you guys can tell, like once I get this steam, I think I'm going to steam block it. I don't know yet if I'm going to do a full wet block on this garment. I'm just not sure. I might instead put a wet tea towel down and iron, and that might just be my blocking process for this. But you can tell we have a nice drop shoulder here that I think once I steam it, it'll really lay flat, and then I'll have my sleeves. So I love the way that this is looking and fitting so far. And I am getting kind of anxious to get a few more inches done on the length of the body so that I can put the try-on tubing on and just see what I think. The yarn is so scratchy. It is this project. If you go to my Ravelry page, I'm calling it my Arizona winter jacket. I wanted a thick wool piece to put on over things. Of course, I wanted to wear it like a jacket. I did not want to wear this like a shirt. I knew this yarn would be scratchy, but I did not realize it would be this scratchy. So the combination of yarn that I'm using is a Malabrigio mohair, which is gorgeous. I love this. This is in the color Arco Iris. Loving it, and I'm so glad that I decided to add this in to this project, even though it made it a bit more of an investment. So glad that I did, because the color that I'm getting from that mohair. It is so cool. I mean, I can't wait to show you this when it's done. And in natural light, a lot more of the greens and golds really show. Back here with these artificial lights, it's not, that part isn't showing quite as brilliantly. But I love the way that it's looking. You can kind of see you can see the purple really well, but the green it doesn't look like that's showing up as much. That's a bummer. But it is scratchy. So I've got the mohair mixed with my little ball of Knit Picks Wool of the Andes. It is rustic, it is scratchy, it is mixed with mohair. It's just creating kind of a prickly thing around my neck, and I don't know if it's pregnancy, because I do feel extra sensitive right now, especially on my chest and my neck. I am feeling way more sensitive to things than I typically am. Even my mom sent me some shirts, some maternity shirts that are like a polyester that I put on, and I almost immediately started feeling like, ooh, is this gonna work? Because the fabric was like, I could really feel the difference around my neck. So unfortunately, this fabric is much pricklier than I thought it would be, which is a bit of a bummer. When I put it on last night, I was like, whoa, I really feel this on my neck. I feel those prickles. So it's a scratchy one, but it looks so cool. And I think that I will, I know that I'll wear this over pieces. Maybe blocking it will help. I don't think it will. But maybe. I'm just, sometimes when you're just in the midst of a big project like this, you're like, maybe the blocking will magically make that better. And I also do have a lot of collared shirts that I love to wear. Like, just like a soft plaid kind of shirt that is like a snap up or a button up. I have a few of those. That I totally see pairing with this, or just even sort of like cotton, linen, very relaxed, like oversized button downs. Just that almost like looks like you grabbed your husband's button down look, but a very soft wash. And so I started thinking about it, and I was like, I'm gonna have plenty of things to wear this with. It is going to be warm. It's going to last so like forever. And this piece is it'll be my first piece that I use my handmade ceramic buttons on. And with the with the glazes that I'm choosing, I'm going to match, I think I'm going to do like a dark blue glaze on the buttons. The buttons are glazed. They just need to go into the kiln. So I should have those to show you next week, the buttons that I do, at least the first kind of test round. And that process has been very interesting. So without kind of getting too much into the weeds and the details of pottery here, I have a few different clay bodies that I'm testing out for buttons. One is porcelain, which we all know what porcelain is. The other is more of a stoneware, it's like this. I have my little Notion cups that I've made here, actually. And it's like that really dark, scratchy, earthy clay kind of look. And so I have many different sizes, glazes, thicknesses. I have a lot of buttons in the works because there's no one that I have found really who is showing how to make your own stone-fired ceramic buttons. I've seen a few tutorials on polymer clay, which I'm not interested in at all. I think polymer clay earrings as like a fun pop of color and an activity to do with young girls is like super fun and inspiring, but I'm looking for buttons that are going to last for generations and generations. I think there's something really sweet about that, and they just don't take up any space. So creating and crafting this collection of buttons of many different colors and sizes and textures has been a really pretty inspiring process for me, and one that is still very much in process. So I'm just bringing you along the journey right now. Nothing to show yet, but they are ready to go in my little kiln. I've got a small kiln here at home. So button making can continue when baby is here, which will be exciting, I think, because I am truly enjoying this new craft of, really thinking about my knitted garments and even my sewing projects or kids projects or animal eyes, or all the creative ways that, you just want that perfect button. And I'm always pretty disappointed when I go to knitting shops and I look at buttons. I never feel like the buttons live up to the garment that I have spent and invested so much time and energy into. So more to come on making buttons. There's just still so much that I'm learning right now. I also realized in the process, as I was sanding the buttons to get them really smooth and thin, that I need a respirator mask. So that is going to be on the way for me. I don't really want to work any further until I have that in my possession, because I was coughing quite a bit after working on the buttons the other night, and that's just not acceptable. That's not good. So it's been a learning process. I'm definitely very much like figuring this one out on my own. There's no tutorials. There's no one that I've talked to so far that's ever taken on making this many buttons. And it's been a beautiful creative process. So I am documenting that whole process, and I'll have a video here on this channel soon, really explaining and going into the details of what I've learned, because if you have access to a friend who has a kiln, or you're going to take a little ceramics class, and just maybe one day in your crafting journey, you find yourself with the opportunity to make some buttons on your own, I hope to save you a lot of steps and show you exactly how to do that. It's been such an interesting process, so I've loved it so much. So that is the field day jacket. Coming right along, I bet I have maybe 4 more inches of the body to go, and then I'm doing a pretty thick rib knit, which I don't mind doing at all. I like doing ribbing. I think it's because I'm a continental knitter. I hear a lot of like, oh, the ribbing, like I don't want to do ribbing, and that's too much ribbing. But I'm actually faster at my purls than I am my knits, and I guess that's just the way that I hold my yarn, or whatever it is. But I'm a very quick one at purling. It's actually my knitting that I'm not quite as quick. So it's interesting. Now, I have another project to show you that I haven't showed you yet. We've talked about this one, but I don't think I've showed you the process so far, and that is my pressed flowers shawl. I love this project. Turns out I love mosaic knitting. Absolutely love it. I bet I dedicated 2 or 3 days, not whole days, but you know what I mean, like 2 or 3, when I had time, I was like, I'm going to figure out this whole mosaic knitting thing. I didn't get it. None of us ever do, right? When you're taking on that new project or new way of doing color work. And I love doing the pressed flowers shawl. It is so fun. So this is what it's looking like. I am just so proud of this project. I had a moment when I think it was just the first two little flowers done, and I got those repeats done, and I just had these two little flowers, and man, it was rough for me getting going. My tension was tight. I was like, I just was so not in a flow with it. But once these two little flowers started to show themselves, I just stared at this and was like, this is the most beautiful thing I have ever knitted by far. I love the color choices that I've gone with, because no matter, and again, you guys can catch up with some older episodes, but my intention with this shawl is that it will live in our nursery. We have a, super comfy rocking chair that I've even slept in at nights. It's just, oh my gosh, it's been with me forever. It's that chair, it's mama's chair that I've rocked my babies to sleep in. It is kind of a blue-gray color, and I wanted a shawl, something, in the middle of the night that I could just wrap myself in, and then just always lived on the back of that chair, and this is going to be that piece. So I really should figure out a way to spend more time with this project, because oh my goodness, I'm just having the most fun. I love it. I can't say enough good things about it. I want to make all of the pressed flowers, everything. I have the pattern for the hat. I want to make the cardigan. I want to make the socks. I want to do it all. I just think it's so cute. I think there's so much potential too for mixing some colors in. And I am such a lover of any of the craft projects that I take on. I want these projects to last and have a timeless quality about them, that in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, could I hand this down, and could this look like something that is classic and functional for that outlives me? And this is one of those patterns. I think it's like a granny square or like a quilt, where there is a timelessness about it, and I just can't say enough good things about this design. I think it's absolutely brilliant. So I am doing this with the icanbuymyselfflowerskal hashtag on Instagram. You guys, I am really not great about opening up Instagram. I just don't do it. I am a YouTuber kind of person. It is like, that is my lane. That is where I like to go to connect. I can't even say for certain if I'm going to get better about posting on Instagram. The only thing keeping me kind of checking back in is when there's new test knits, and when there are KALs, when there's knit-alongs. So that's pretty much why I'm there, is to just, participate in the KALs, meet, and I've met a few of you through, so thank you for coming over and following the Mother Knits Instagram. It's super sweet. It's just a platform, you guys, that I don't know. I just have to say I have a hard time with it. So I'm gonna see if maybe some inspiration strikes or something, because I would love to keep you guys more updated there. But that tangent is there to say Instagram was the only place to participate in, at Design by So and So and at Young Folk Knits, who are hosting this knit along. And I'm so glad that they did, because I was so intimidated by this project. So I just want to also be a cheerleader and you can do it with the mosaic knitting, because it's actually a ton of fun. For me, where I'm struggling is that this is a project for me, at least at this point where I'm at with just learning this new skill, is that I really like to sit down at my dining room table with the chart and do this one, and actually have be seated at a table and do this project. Is just a comfortable place for me right now to be working on it. And that kind of time is kind of limited. Anyway, I'm getting quicker and I'm getting it a little bit more, but I haven't even picked this up in over a week. It's been it's just been sitting in the basket for a little while. And but I've had just kind of a busy week, and approaching this third trimester is definitely, I'm feeling the energy low. It is like my energy is low. So these two projects have been just such a blast. I love this, and I really encourage you to give it a try. I think it's a beautiful one. And I think when I do this again, I'll do one of the, I love seeing the patterns, or the projects rather, where the flowers are like a variegated, is that what, am I saying that correctly? Right, where there's that color shift with the flowers against like a really neutral base, like a gray or a tan or something like that. So, or I really like the moody dark ones too, like almost a black background, and then the flowers have can really stand out in a way. That would make such a beautiful fall shawl. I mean, I want like a pressed flowers shawl for every season, like winter colors, which I think this could definitely be a winter palette, a spring palette, a summer palette, and an autumn palette in this shawl. I'm like just super obsessed with it. So it's going well. I just wish I had, I'll have to just think of a way to devote more time to sitting down and being with this. I would love, so the field day jacket, I have a feeling, I'm about maybe halfway there. I don't know. I want them both done so badly by the holidays and by the different gatherings that I have coming up, because I do think it would be just really sweet to wear them both. But especially this one, because this I feel like I could wear indoors and be like really cozy, where the other one's actually pretty warm, so I'm not sure. But I'm just having a blast, loving the pattern, going to create more for sure. Lovely beginner mosaic knitting project, especially if you go back to my last podcast episode. I linked some video tutorials and kind of talked about how I had found some ways to speed up the learning curve with that one, and I'm really glad I did, because it did really help save some time, I think. And those are the two knitting projects I have going on. If you didn't catch it, last week I did a knitted toys pattern roundup. And I was so flattered, because there was a comment that was like, I thought I had seen everything on Ravelry, and this, that, and the other were not ones that I had seen. And I was like, oh, that was what I was hoping to accomplish, because I am such a newbie to Ravelry that sometimes I get so excited when I find a new designer or a new pattern, and I sometimes wonder if it's like very old news. So I don't know, but there are just some really precious things in there. And I'm really wanting to cast on some of those toy or baby knits before long. I love having my big, like a big sweater project, a big garment kind of project, a shawl project, or something, equally kind of as big of a time investment. But then I really do want to get something started that I just feel like I can make a ton of progress in like one evening. So like those little mice, or I am really wanting to knit that swan that I showed you guys. I just can't stop thinking about it. And then of course I really, right now it's December 14th. I'm due March 22nd. And I have some pretty ambitious goals as far as making a lot of babies' clothes. And it is nice, this being my third child, I know how fast the time goes. So I know that I'm really not going to need like a knitted garment, like multiple knitted garments in like size 3 months. It's just not, like one will be fine, will be totally fine. And I sort of know the things that I grabbed for a lot, like socks and booties and things like that for my other kiddos. Like I just sort of know what I'll probably be grabbing for a lot. My daughter really wants me to make a really soft baby blanket for baby. I'm not so sure about, I don't know, we'll see. So there's a lot of like, baby knits that would be nice to get started. I'm really thinking about just actually making a whole separate video because I could just dive right into like all of these knitting goals and plans that I have for 2024 and how I see that fitting into having a newborn. And I think I'll save that for another time because I've already been sitting here chatting here for quite a little while. I think I'll do that. I think I'll make another video where I go through what's on my wish list, what's on, what are some dream knits that I have, and then what are some really like practical things that I'm very excited to get started on because I think I would use them and wear them and learn a lot along the way. I also have some sewing updates, but I'm going to save those as well. I'll do that maybe next week because it has been so exciting to have my sewing machine up and like in a place that I can access it. So I have some sewing plans coming together, but again, stay tuned because there will be more to share. So I would say if you guys would like to leave any encouraging words in the comments as I go into my 3rd trimester, if you've been there, I would just so appreciate the encouragement right now because I have been more tired than I typically am. And it's like it's physically tired, but there's also like a mental tiredness that I'm experiencing. Like I realized I have to finish these 2 projects before I can really cast too much more on. I just like my mental capacity right now just feels pregnant, if you know what I mean. So yeah, I know that it's that interesting time where it feels like there's so much time left, but there's actually not. 3 months goes by so quickly. So yeah, it's a special time for sure. So thank you for being here and chatting about some of these projects that I have going on and celebrating this new little corner of space that I have is to just be a maker and a dreamer and a designer and a crafter. I am going to really enjoy kind of setting this space up a bit more and showing it to you. So long goodbye. I hope you have a beautiful week and I will see you in the next episode.